Hello, welcome to Outdoor Exploration. I'm Emily. Apparently this is Blackberry joining us. And today, you will see this tomorrow, but I'm filming on Mother's Day. And my kids have given me, well, my kids and my husband actually, have given me this beautiful bouquet from our yard. My brother gave me this one. And I thought, let's make today about identifying some stuff, because I just like to. I like going out and saying what things are, noticing what things are growing. So I thought I would tell you what's in my bouquets. And then we'll go down to the cove and find what's growing around in the cracks in our pavement. So in my bouquet today, I have some campion, also known as pink, which you can see grows under my stairs, actually, right here. It's kind of weedy, but I love it. This is my lilac, which I planted myself. This is a crabapple that my parents planted here. These are beautiful kale, ooh, with a beetle on top of it. And for some reason I'm blocking the name of this again. It has a C. Oh God, columbine. For some reason I blank out on this all the time. This is columbine. Our wild one is actually orange, kind of red and yellow, and it looks much pointier than these, but this is what I have also growing under my porch actually. And on this side we have a dogwood blossom. And the dogwoods are all out beautifully. And over here, super fragrant from my brother, every year he gives me this, is lily of the valley that grows at his house. So yeah, crazy smell, amazing. And my favorite thing to show people for identifying, this is my copy of Plants of Coastal British Columbia. There are different editions, sometimes they have a slightly different name, but basically it's the Lone Pine ID series. They make all kinds of them for different areas. This is for my area, and if you're looking for something to help you identify, I would recommend this. I need to put this down here. There we go. And the reason is because inside they have everything sorted by family. So you can, for example, this rose campion here. Actually, that's not a rose campion, I think, but it's a campion. Maybe it's a red campion. There's a whole section in here somewhere of pink, which is this family. So I can look at it, and actually I'm quite certain that this particular campion here, or pink, isn't in this book, but I'll be able to at least notice that it's one of them. It's similar. So that's, oh, and here we're into mustards. This is how you use the book. You basically identify the family, and then you can get in and find out more about it. And they even have edibility notes, all kinds of interesting things, historical uses, etc. So this is the book I recommend. And now let's go to the cove and start identifying some stuff. So, in addition to all these beautiful forget-me-nots, there's a miner's lettuce growing on top. And actually there's another one here and there. Oh, and some burrs in my hair. Well, that will be entertaining to get out. Just a minute. Really, if there wasn't so much moss on this rock, I would point to the burrs, but I don't know how to get all of them in, so I'm going for the miner's lettuce. Hold on a sec here. Okay. Let's see. And let's do forget-me-nots in a different color. I don't know if writing upside down is my strong suit. Alright, and the burdock, which I can't find room to identify. So, this episode is by request from a friend, and I thought, she asked just to go doing things like labeling plants, and I thought it would be fun to not only label plants but also put some of their uses so we can, you know, connect with them a little bit. So, dandelion and plantain. That's what I found at this corner. Well, and a bunch of other things, but it's kind of hard to point to everything. So let's see what else we find as we go. So this plant, the morning glory, it does twist up and strangle other plants, and I learned to call it pispotjes as a child, which is Dutch for pea pods or urinals, because they get those white trumpet flowers that kind of look like urinals, and also it just sounds like such a mean thing to call it. It's beautiful, but it does grow up and strangle other plants, and it's kind of a weed you don't want in your garden. Okay, let's see what we find. More pispotjes. Ooh, this is an invasive clematis. At least I think it's invasive. It's coming up here too. Alright, I'll label it clematis. I'm not sure if this is the huge one that grows in other places on the island and kind of grows up and chokes out small trees, but it's some kind of clematis for sure. I won't put a note on this one since I don't even know what type it is. Maybe it's just one that makes beautiful purple flowers. Could be. Okay, here's this stuff that I am going to attempt to identify. This here, I know it's a mint flower because it has this stocky stem, and mints actually, if you look very closely at them, have a square stem. Sometimes it's hard to tell because they're a bit of a puffy square stem, so it looks round, but they have still 4 little ridges. And then they often have the leaves coming out all around, and they'll have these little flowers when they do bloom. So I doubt that this smells minty. No, it's more similar to a self-heal, but I'm going to look in here in the lovely mint section and see if I can identify it. See, so this one here is the self-heal. It's similar to that, but it's also kind of different. And oh, you know what? I am not finding it. We're into figworts. So maybe I still won't label it, but I could call it a mint family anyway. I can hardly think of tea today. It's so hot, but you can make tea from Himalayan blackberry leaves. You can also eat the shoots, similarly to the eating salmonberry shoots, except they're much shorter, so you don't get as much so easily. But you pick these young leaves, dry them, and in fact, you don't even have to dry them, but you can dry them and use them for tea. It's very similar and the same family to eating red raspberry or drinking red raspberry leaf tea, which a lot of mothers know from when we were pregnant. We drank red raspberry leaf tea to strengthen our uterus. And in fact, they're both rubus family. Blackberries, raspberries, cloudberries, there are a bunch of others. And salmonberries too, actually. And all of the leaves have similar properties, so you can use them the same way you would use the store-bought red raspberry leaf tea. That's all it is. It's the leaves from raspberries. So happy Mother's Day. Have some blackberry leaf tea. I don't know how to label this, but I have to tell you about it on film anyway. Okay, because it is the season, talking of teas, for fir tip and other needle tip teas. So this here is a Douglas fir, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, you can see that because it has sort of needles that are the same length as each other, as opposed to the hemlock, which has all different lengths of needles, and they're quite soft to touch. So a spruce has similar length of needles all along, but they're really prickly. So it's easy to tell the difference. All three are edible. The tips of them are delicious. You can just eat them, but you can also make tea, and they all taste different from each other. So right now, if you look up close, you can see the needles are just bursting out. They're soft. They feel like feathers. They're so light, and they're leaving their little casing behind, that little brown stuff there. And it's the perfect time to pick them. Even in a few more days, they'll be a bit bigger. You can pick them then too and get more. But yeah, look at your needle tips for tea. One thing, a lot of people think that hemlocks are poisonous because there is something called poison hemlock, which is a carrot family. It has nothing to do with these trees. But the western hemlock tree that we have, I'm looking to see if there's one here, and I don't see one right now, but it has slightly similar looking needles to these, is not poisonous. You can in fact eat the cambium from it. Not that I advise it. I've had it. It's not bad, but it tastes like nothing, and you have to boil it just to be able to chew it. So it's a starvation food. But the needles are delicious. They're perfectly fine to consume. And in fact, fir tip tea, you can buy it commercially as well, is great for coughs, colds, viruses. It's soothing. It's one of the few things that you can actually give to babies. An infusion made from it, because it's quite gentle. So yeah, there's a cedar tree I can show you up here. So these are actually the youngish leaves of the cedar, and you can do a similar thing and make cedar tea out of this. It will have some vitamin C, but depending how hot the water is when you steep it, you might cook off a bunch of vitamin C because it's destroyed by heat. But and this is one that you can't really give to babies, which is what made me think to show you. It can be a little bit too strong for their systems. So let's carry on. I hoped I would see a hemlock here, but no luck. I've decided to label these trees after all. I mean, they're kind of far in there, but the branches are out here. So I'll just put the two types of trees. This one is a Douglas fir, and this one over here is a red cedar. I'm going to label some things here, partly because I can sit in the shade of this telephone pole. And the first thing I see is a bunch of chamomile. So this, I think, is pineapple weed, which is a kind of chamomile. I'll tell you after I smell it. Yep, pineapple weed. It smells like pineapples, sort of. It's a kind of chamomile, and you can make tea of it. And then we have a bunch of different grass or sedge, I'm not really sure, and I will look them up and see which ones they are after I label with a nice yellow chalk the pineapple weed. Let's see. All right, now let me look up maybe a sedge that's a little further along here. See if I can find exactly what type this is. In the grass section, or will it be, actually I think there's a sedge section. Yes, there is. Okay, here's the sedge section. So if I look carefully at the flowers, you know, I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to take time to go into all the details, so I'm just going to write sedge, which it is. Found a big foxglove here, so I'm going to label it. Here's a wall lettuce hiding under here, and it's just shooting up. It's going to have some lovely spray of white flowers, I guess, coming off from under that rock. There we go. Wall lettuce in the wall. So I see a whole bunch of dock plants along here, as well as some dandelion and grass. And I'll label one of these nice dock plants that's in the shade. So this isn't burdock, it's western dock, which has much more tender and edible leaves than burdock. I certainly wouldn't eat them here, growing where people and dogs walk all the time, but at least it helps us recognize them. There we go. Western dock, edible. I am done for today. My chalk is almost used up. I'm hot and sweaty and covered in chalk, but there are various labels all over the cove, and I hope people find them inspiring. So have a fun time exploring, and I will see you in our next video.